A very good afternoon, all of you. My name is Ashish Ranjan, and I take this opportunity to welcome you all to the workshop session for the upcoming courses at Success Point. Uh, I'll be first telling you the agenda for the day, that the agenda for the workshop session today, that what all things we will be covering over there. I think there is a power cut, so it is bound to get more uncomfortable as time progresses. How many of us we do not have this booklet? Are we all having this workshop booklet with us? Everyone? Okay. So I'll just jot down the agenda for the workshop today. The very first thing is that I'll be giving you an overview of APPSCCE, the Arunachal Pradesh Public Service Combined Competitive Examination. Okay, the overview. That is how many stages are there in the examination, etc. Can I assume that all of us are starting with our preparation now? Can I assume that? How many of us we don't have a good clarity over the different stages of the exam, the syllabus, etc. Fine. So I'll go with the scratch. Okay. Second, after having covered the overview, then I will talk about the syllabus of the different stages of the examination. Third, now because we have come here to for the workshop of the upcoming courses, I will tell you about the different courses that we are coming up with for the ongoing courses. And fourth, I'll take hardly some 2-3 minutes for this, that what in my opinion can be a strategy, you know, to take up this examination. We will also, after this, that we'll also have an open interactive session. Okay, so we can have an interactive session and interaction for you to get your queries answered. Okay, based on the interaction, if we can add to some of the strategy that we can adopt, the strategy has to be very simple. Okay, so without wasting time, if I can start with the overview of the APPSCCE examination. First thing first, I hope we know that the examination that we are preparing for, the Arunachal Pradesh Public Service Combined Competitive Examination, that through this examination, recruitment is done for the Group A and Group B, both gazetted as well as non-gazetted examination. Group A and Group B gazetted and non-gazetted officers, right? For example, that the Group A officers are the APCS Civil Services, the APPS Police Services. We have some other Group A services like the ARCS, Assistant Registrar of Cooperative Society, other services like Assistant Director of Industries, etc. We have some Group B services like the DLRSO. We have some Group B non-gazetted offices like the Assistant Section Officer, etc. Right? Obviously, qualifying the prestigious APPSCCE examination is always a matter of pride. But I'm sure that when we start our preparation, we are looking forward to competing and getting selected as APCS, and those of us who are interested in the police services, that we want to get through into police services, right? So when we are starting with our preparation, we are aspiring to become civil servants or police officers, right? Generally, if you look at this recently concluded examination that put together, among the two services, we have around 55 to 56 seats around, and overall there was a vacancy of 140, comprising of all the positions of civil services and police service, right? Now, talking about the overview, this examination, it comprises of 3 different stages. The first is the prelims examination. Okay, the first is the prelims examination. Prelims examination, it comprises of 2 different papers. Okay, One is your general studies paper, and the other is CSAT paper. Both the general studies as well as the CSAT paper, it carries 200 marks each. Okay. In general studies, there are 100 questions of 2 marks each. Therefore, total equals to 200 marks of paper. In CSAT, I'm not writing what all subjects are covered under each of the test because I'll be discussing the syllabus separately. But just to mention you in brief, in general studies, you have questions, and the nature of questions is multiple choice question. A question will be asked with 4 choices that will serve as an option. So 4 options or 4 choices would be served to you. Okay. And in general studies, questions will range from history, geography, polity, economics, general science, environment and ecology, etc. Right? But when it comes to the CSAT paper, that you will have to solve basic mathematics, reasoning, and reading comprehension questions. Right? So if I have to solve a mathematics question, if I have to solve a reasoning question, if I have to read a unseen passage and then answer to the questions asked, it takes more time than reading a general studies question and finding the answer. Yes or no? And for that reason, that in CSAT only 80 questions are asked, so that in those 2 hours, less number of questions are asked, so that you get more time per question, right? So 80 questions are asked. Each question is of 2.5 marks, and therefore again 200 marks. CSAT paper, I'm putting an asterisk over here. Why? Because this is a qualifying paper. What is the meaning of qualifying paper? That we have to score a minimum of 33%. What is 33% of 200? 66 marks. We have to score a minimum of 66 marks, or else, howsoever good you score in your GS paper, you will not be selected to write the mains examination. Am I clear over there? So I will just give you an example and assumption that how the candidates are selected in prelims examination. Suppose I'm just making an assumption that if the vacancy is 100, now this is not fixed, it will depend upon the notification. This time the vacancy was 140. In prelims examination, the total number of selections in prelims is roughly 12 times the total number of vacancy. So in prelims, 1200 people will be selected, given my assumption is that 100 is the total vacancy. This time the total vacancy was 140, and therefore that the total number of selections in prelims was around 1650 students, right? It's roughly 12 times. Okay. Who are, in my example, who are these 1200? Are they the top 1200 of GS? No, because it is possible that I was the highest scorer of GS, but I did not qualify CSAT. So these 1200 people in my example are those 1200 जिनका CSAT qualified है. So out of all the people who appeared for the prelims examination, all of them who qualified the CSAT, their marks of GS will be arranged. And the top 1200 people from there will be selected to write the mains examination, right? That it is possible that I had a very good GS score, but I did not qualify my CSAT paper, and therefore that I will not be selected in prelims. Fine? Okay. Now, once suppose those 1200 who have qualified the prelims examination, now they stand on the same footing when they are entering the main stage of examination. Meaning that the marks that you score in the prelims examination is not carried forward to the main stage of examination. Okay. The marks that you score in prelims is not carried forward to the मेन स्टेज ऑफ एग्जामिनेशन। तो प्रीलिम्स में ऐसा नहीं है कि मेरा बहुत हाई मार्क्स आया तो अब मेरा एडवांटेज है, अब मेंस में मुझे कोई एज मिलेगा, नथिंग लाइक दैट, राइट? Obviously our attempt should be to score as high as possible, so that, see, when you are confident that I am scoring good marks in prelims, if I am confident after some 4-5 months of my preparation कि मेरा prelims तो पक्का निकल जाएगा, then you will be very very enthusiastic about your mains preparation. If you are still in a dilemma कि पता चला prelims निकलेगा नहीं निकलेगा, then you will not get into a wholehearted preparation for mains examination, right? Moving on to the next phase, which is the mains examination. Okay, the mains examination comprises of a paper called qualifying English. This is a qualifying English paper. This is of 300 marks. The qualifying score is 33%. Remember, 33%, one third. So 100 marks qualifying. The qualifying score is 100 marks. 33% marks चाहिए इसमें. But this is just a qualifying paper. The marks that you score over here will not be counted for the purpose of selection, right? Okay. The next paper is essay paper. Essay paper is of 250 marks. We have to now write 2 essays, each essay of 125 marks. The first essay is a general essay. The second essay is Arunachal Pradesh specific essay, right? Okay. Next paper is General Studies Paper 1. I'm just naming the subject, but I'm not writing over here because I will be discussing the syllabus. It comprises of subjects like history, geography, then Indian society, and Northeast related topics. Again of 250 marks. The next paper is General Studies Paper 2, comprising of subjects like polity, constitution, social justice, governance, and international relation. Again of 250 marks. The third paper is GS Paper 3, comprising of subjects like economic development. There we have to study about agricultural economy as well, and other subjects like disaster management, internal security, biodiversity, science and technology. And then we have the fourth paper, which is General Studies Paper 4. This is a purely mains paper, as in the first 3 papers have somewhat overlap with your prelim subjects. But the fourth paper, which is the ethics, integrity and aptitude paper, that is purely a mains paper. There is no overlap with prelims. There is no overlap with prelims. Fine. Okay. Now, so you have one qualifying English paper, one essay, and the 4 subjects of general studies. Beyond this, these are the mandatory papers. That means, suppose if we are all writing our mains examination, we all will be writing the same paper, right? But then there is one additional optional subject that one has to choose. As per the new syllabus which was introduced in 2019, that we have to choose, we have to select one optional subject. Remember, हो सकता है घर में कोई बहुत सीनियर हो, वो बोलेंगे 2 optional subject. No, that was before 2020 exam. Now we have to select only one optional subject, and of that same optional subject, you will have 2 different papers. And you can choose any subject from a list of around some 24-25 subjects. You can choose any subject of your choice, right? There is no requirement of any background. ऐसा नहीं है that if I'm choosing history, I should be a graduate or a postgraduate in history. No such restrictions. You can choose any subject irrespective of your background, right? Of the same optional subject, we have 2 papers. That we have a paper 1 and a paper 2. For example, suppose if you chose the subject of history, then in paper 1, the syllabus is ancient Indian history and medieval Indian history. But the syllabus of paper 2 is modern Indian history and world history. Like suppose if you chose the subject of public administration, in first paper you will have the theories of public administration. In the second paper you will have Indian administration, right? So it's the same subject which is divided into two different papers. Okay. So put together, this is again of 250 marks and this is of 250 marks. So overall optional subject कितने का हो गया? 500 marks का. और ये mandatory papers कितने के हो गए? 4 papers of general studies, so 1000, and 1 essay, so 1250 marks. Put together, my entire mains paper is 1750 marks. This is the bulk of marks which will decide your rank, right? Those who qualify mains, so how many people as per my assumption wrote mains? 1200 people. In mains, selection is in the ratio of 1:3. So if vacancy is 100, then 300 people will be selected in mains and then they will be appearing in the personality test. In the personality test, right? The personality test, you have to, for example, if this is MCQ, over here you have to write down, this is a subjective examination where you have to write down the answer. This is an oral examination wherein that you will be tested for your personality traits by a board comprising of 4 to 5 members, right? And I mean, it's not the appropriate time to talk about the personality test, but then just to remove any kind of a confusion, a personality doesn't mean that you should be, you know, very fluent in English and should have a very extrovert personality, right? Personality of a civil servant is that you should be honest, you should be focused to your task despite of any circumstances, that you should not give up and just focus on the work at hand, right? You should cut off any kind of negativity and focus on the public work that has been assigned to you, right? Do you have that kind of a tenacity? Do you have that kind of a perseverance? Do you have that kind of an honesty, integrity, or not, right? So this is of 275 marks, but people who are selected in mains and when they appear in interview, they actually carry their mains marks along with them. हाँ, interview board को पता नहीं होता आपका mains marks, but then they carry their marks, as in the final selection will be based on the cumulative score, which is 2025 marks. So needless to say that which phase of examination is very critical for securing a good rank? The mains examination, because along with the result you have the marks secured by the candidates as well. If you look at the marks of the top rankers, right, go up to top 30, 35 ranks, and technically they had qualified, they had secured their service, they had secured their selection by their mains marks alone, right? By their mains marks alone. And that is a very crucial phase of examination. Okay, a good mains score will ensure that you get into the civil services or you get into a police services cadre. Yes, some exceptional people at times, they score very high in their interview, and maybe that, you know, they are able to increase their rank, you know, because of their interview score, but that is a very exceptional chance, right? Because you can maximum create a difference of at best say 50-60 marks in your interview. Compared to the average marks, you can create a difference of some 30-40 marks at best, but in a mains you can create a difference of 100-150 marks also, right? Basically, prelims examination is an examination to weed out the non-serious and half serious, semi-serious candidates, because this is one examination for which everyone prepares. Some prepare very methodically over a long period of time on a consistent basis, but some prepare when the notification comes out, some prepare when the exam form is being filled. कोई prepare करता है क्योंकि दोस्त exam दे रहा है तो चलो साथ में हम भी दे देता है ना. Some people they start their preparation but then उसके बाद they have many other important things to do also, है ना. थोड़ा बहुत टाइम हो गया ईटानगर बैठा हुआ, बस्ती घूम के आने से ठीक है सर, हम लॉटरी कमेटी का प्रेसिडेंट भी है तो इंपॉर्टेंट है मेरे लिए बस्ती जाना. All these important things, right? Remember, when you are preparing, nothing can replace your preparation. Nothing can be even comparable in importance to your preparation, right? Then only you will be counted as a serious candidate. Okay, because this is one examination that you cannot qualify with a preparation of 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. No, not at all, right? This is one examination where you need to be very, very systematic, very, very consistent in your approach. Okay? So prelims is just an examination to weed out, to remove the non-serious or semi-serious candidates, because the commission cannot conduct this exhaustive examination for the 20,000 people who fill the form. Yes or no? This has to be conducted for some selected people whom the commission thinks that yes, I need to select from these very, very serious candidates, right? Yes, I'm not saying that those who don't qualify prelims are not serious, because see, at times the vacancy may not be high, the competition is very tough, right? Who is making this examination the toughest, right? So many of you attending the class in the summer heat, right? You are making the examination difficult, nobody else. It's the competition. In isolation, the exam is not difficult. Isolation में difficult नहीं है. Isolation में क्या difficult है? Running a marathon is difficult in isolation, है ना. Climbing Everest is difficult. वो आप अकेले climb कर रहे हैं या 10 लोगों के साथ climb कर रहे हैं, it is difficult. But the examination is difficult. Why? Because there is a very, very stiff competition, right? And therefore that you have to be very consistent in your preparation. Okay. Can I assume that you have understood the different stages of the exam? Okay. I'll be talking about the syllabus of the examination now. So starting with the general studies prelims syllabus. It is already there with you, so you need not copy it. We have to study Indian history. Indian history. Although there is no set pattern कि किस subject से कितने questions आएंगे, but on an average every year there has been around some 18 to 20 questions from Indian history. Then geography, polity, economy, general science, which is your school level physics, chemistry, biology, then environment and ecology, and then current affairs. I am not writing the northeast portion separately, because when I'm writing an Indian history, needless to say that northeast history is already included in Indian history, right? When I'm talking about the economy of northeast or economy of Arunachal, it is already inherent in the economy topic that I have written. So I'm not separately writing Northeast. Fine. So this is the syllabus for the prelims portion of general studies. When I talk about CSAT, we have three different sections. One is basic mathematics, basic maths. Then we have reasoning. The third is popularly written as English, but it is not English. I would write the more detailed version of it, that reading comprehension, which is a very, very important portion, especially if you are not good at mathematics, right? If you suffer at maths, then probably this is going to be your savior. Then there are questions from interpersonal communication. Can the last person see the board? The last person, can you see it? Okay. And then there is an administrative course of action. What is meant by administrative course of action? That a situation will be given, and you have to see that what action you can take as an administrator in that given situation. Fine. So this is the CSAT portion. Over here, roughly that around say 18 to 20 questions from Indian history, around say 15-16 questions each from geography and polity, around some 10 to 12 questions from economy, similarly 10 to 12 questions from general science, around some 8-10 questions from environment, ecology, and rest from current affairs. When I say current affairs, there can be certain GK questions as well. GK, general knowledge, which may not be current affairs. For example, which day is celebrated as Civil Services Day, which day is celebrated as Good Governance Day, right? Some very GK kind of questions. Okay. When I talk about the mains syllabus, okay, the mains examination syllabus, starting with say essay paper. In essay, we have to write two essays. One is a general essay on any topic, and the other is an essay where the topic will be Arunachal Pradesh specific. In my opinion, this makes essay relatively easy, the second essay. Why? Because I already have an idea that the second essay will be Arunachal oriented. So if I prepare on the polity, if I prepare on the economy, society, culture, on certain important topics like agricultural potential, on topics like tourism potential, on topics like, the security threats being a border state, on the menace of child abuse, on the menace of drug trafficking, etc., that I can still assume that I have prepared for the second essay. The first essay is very open ended because I don't know what topic would be over there, right? Okay. The next paper, which is General Studies Paper 1. In GS1, you have to study modern Indian history. Modern Indian history. Then you have to study world history. Right? Then you have to study art and culture. We have to study post-independence history. We have to study an Indian society. We have to study geography. And along with this, again, that an addition has been made that in 2024, that a new portion of the syllabus was added, which is northeast related topics. Northeast and Arunachal Pradesh. The second paper is GS paper 2, which is polity or constitution. Then governance. Then social justice and international relations. International relations. The third general studies paper is economic development. Economic development. Then we have science and technology. Then we have biodiversity and internal security. Say the problems of organized crime, Naxalism, Maoism, etc. Internal security. General Studies paper 4. This paper is called Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude. Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude. So this is the syllabus of the compulsory papers of mains. Depending upon the subject that you have chosen, you will choose your own optional subject. So this is the broad classification, the division of syllabus. If I just look at the comparison between prelims and main syllabus, I can say that history would fall in which overlapping portion of main syllabus? GS paper 1. So I'm writing 1 over here. Similarly, geography is in which paper of mains? 1. But remember, the nature of coverage would be slightly different. For example, in prelims history, we have to study the entire Indian history, ancient, medieval and modern. But when we look at GS paper 1, the main syllabus comprises only of modern Indian history. Modern Indian history. Art and culture mein, you can be asked question right from ancient to modern times. But then, for example, with regard to the ancient kingdoms, etc., you will not have question in your modern history. Right? Okay. Similarly, polity is in which portion of mains? GS paper 2. Economy in GS paper 3, science in GS paper 3, environment in GS paper 3, current affairs is common, right? Current affairs you have to study on an ongoing basis. So general studies paper 4 is one paper which has no bearing in your prelims examination. But from a mains examination perspective, it is a very, very significant paper for a reason that it has the shortest syllabus, right? It has the shortest syllabus. Probably the kind of factual knowledge you will have to remember for, say, a world history. इतने टाइम में आप पूरे का पूरा ethics का factual knowledge gain कर सकते हैं, right? In fact, these are very scoring paper. Generally, essay along with GS paper 4 is believed to be very scoring in a mains examination, right? I mean, things will become more clear if you look at the marks of the selected students last year. For example, in APPSCCE 2020, the highest of the scores were in the GS papers were in essay and in GS paper 4. This year, the segregated marks is yet not out. So it will become more clear once the segregated marks is out. Okay. Having completed this, now let me move on to the third thing, which is an information that I will provide you regarding the courses that we are starting with. The first course, which is starting on 29th of August, that we have a general studies prelims course, which comprises of around some 90 classes of 2.5 hours each. It's roughly 90 classes. So keeping the Sundays off, the course runs for around 3.5 to 4 months, because in between we will take a test. For example, suppose when your classes start with Indian polity, you will have polity for 20 days, right? On each day that when a particular topic is covered in the class, you will be provided with around some 5 to 10 MCQs in your WhatsApp group, which is called as popularly called as dinner digest program, that you have to solve some 5 to 10 questions every day. But once polity is completed by the end of 20 days, 20 classes, you will have a part test of polity, right? Similarly, for geography, economy, history, and all the other sections. So because you will be writing 5 part tests, at the completion of the course, 1 full test, and the Sundays plus the 90 classes around. So keep in mind that the GS prelims course will last for around 4 months. So when we are starting by the end of August, practically September, so it goes September, October, November. By the third week of December, that the course should be over, right? Third week of December, that the prelims GS course will be over, right? This is starting. CSAT course is still under the planning stage. It will be announced soon. So this is already starting on 29th August. Okay. The CSAT course, it is to be announced most likely by the end of September, that we will be starting with the CSAT course, right? I'll just like to touch upon that there are different ways of preparation. One way of preparation can be that you start preparing with the GS prelims, right? Get an idea of the civil services preparation, get a bit of exposure into it, and then start with the mains preparation. Am I clear on it? Right? That is the first way of preparation. However, there is an equally good way of preparation, which is that you prepare for prelims and mains in an integrated manner. In an integrated manner. So, in fact, we already have an ongoing course which is ongoing, which has already started, which is the prelims come mains integrated course. This is divided into 4 modules. How do we divide this? That GS paper 1 of mains plus Indian history and geography of prelims put together as one module, first module. GS paper 2 of mains and polity of prelims put together as second module. GS paper 3 of prelims and general science, environment, ecology, and economy of prelims put together as the third module, and the fourth module is GS paper 4 plus essay, right? This has already started. In fact, GS paper 1, I'm on the verge of completing history, right? And then we are starting the fourth that I'm writing is purely in online mode, is purely online, right? These are offline courses. You will be provided with the recording, but it is not an online course. These first, second, and third, it is not an online course. It is an offline course. Yes, the camera recording will be provided to you. The recordings will be there till 3 months after the completion of the course, right? The fourth is a purely online course, but this is for GS paper 4 plus essay. This is only for those students who want to complete their 500 marks of GS paper 4 plus essay in advance. It is for those students, right? I'm assuming that as most of us, we raised our hand that, we are starting from scratch, abhi bilkul. So your confusion can only be that should I go for an integrated manner of preparation, or should I first prepare for prelims, and then once I have gained some bit of confidence in the first 2 months, then I can start separately for mains, right? It depends on your choice. If I were to give an advice, my advice is that anybody who is planning for an integrated manner of preparation, right, must be 100% sure that for the next 9 months, that there is nothing else in their life except for preparation. है ना? No festival, nothing, no breaks. है ना? Even during the Panchayati Raj elections, only one day to go, one day to vote, and one day to come back, unless you are contesting, right? For voting, only 3 days of break. Okay? So that means you should be thoroughly into the process, because that will be a very, very extensive course. है ना? वो बहुत exhaustive course होगा. But then if you are somebody who wants to start first, have a feel of the process, then you can opt for starting with the GS prelims course, for which we have gathered over here, right? And then your next question can be, then what about the mains preparation, right? At the institute, we have a complete ecosystem of preparation, wherein that we assure that courses run throughout the year. The core team of Success Point, comprising of Ashutosh Pandey sir, comprising of Akshay Jain sir, and myself, my name is Ashish Ranjan, that we three put up here round the year, right? So the courses are held continuously, regularly. So anybody who is thinking of the question that when I start with my prelims course, when will the next mains course be conducted? The mains courses are conducted throughout the year, right? In offline and in online mode, right? So it depends upon your preference. When do you want to opt for which course, right? Okay. So these are the courses that we are offering by the end of this month, right? Primarily, we have gathered over here to discuss about the GS prelims course. Over here, that history will be taken by myself, economy will be taken by myself, geography by Ashutosh Pandey sir, polity by Akshay Jain sir, and general science and environment ecology will be taken by Ankit Singh Chauhan sir. Okay, so he is our visiting faculty for environment, ecology, and general science, right? So with this, I think my part of the task is done. The next thing, which is strategy, I think it's too early to comment upon it. And strategy, there cannot be a one size fit all approach, right? It depends upon our own way of dealing with anything. But if I can just give you one basic mantra, that is that you have to remain disciplined. Remain disciplined throughout your preparation. See, I'm sure that when I mention about so many subjects on the board, it presents a very, very intimidating picture of the exam. Yes or no? इसको देख के डर लग रहा है. But now compare to what you will be getting once you get selected. As a circle officer, you will be responsible for extending government welfare programs to around 15-20,000 people. And this number is low because we are in a sparsely populated state of Arunachal Pradesh. Crossing over to Assam, this number will become 2 lakh. Moving to UP, this will become 20 lakh. Right? That is the kind of job that you will be performing. As a deputy superintendent of police, you will be responsible for safety, security of people, property, maintaining law and order in the region. So the task that you have at your hand is a very, very critical task, right? What critical task hai? And suppose if you were the state, would you like to give this kind of a responsibility to somebody who is not sincere? Never. We would like to give this responsibility to somebody who is very focused, who is very hardworking, who is very honest, who is very sincere. Not somebody that who gets very excited और एक दो महीने में उसका energy level drop down हो जाए, right? And that is why I will talk zero about any kind of a motivation. You must have a motivation. I'm sure that all of us, we have a purpose of sitting over here. Yes or no? Let that motivation be the guiding force throughout your preparation, but let that find a small place in your heart. Whenever you require it, उसको थोड़ा सा scratch करके बाहर निकालना है, right? Motivation, too much of motivation, in my opinion, can be very misleading, है ना? It can be a good source of income for making Instagram reels, है ना? Motivate करना दूसरे को, but then it will not sail you through in a civil services exam. What will sail you through is your consistent hard work in a very, very disciplined manner. In a very disciplined manner. That discipline is required. Okay. I mean, if I can sum it up by just asking you, I'm sure that this answering this question can be a little embarrassing for some of us. But then what is the purpose of you choosing to prepare for civil services? Why are you preparing for civil services? When you start your journey today, what is there in your mind? Why do you want to become a civil servant? तब तक मैं पानी पी लेता हूँ. Yes. Why do you want to become a civil servant? आपको मन है आंसर करने का, लेकिन आप थोड़ा सोच रहा है बोलने के पहले, है ना? टेक अ रिस्क, गो अहेड. What is the salary of an APCS officer? Anybody? None of us we know it. Why? Because it doesn't matter. Huh? Somebody is trying. Don't try, you will be wrong. We don't know. I mean, roughly पता होगा. Exactly किसी को नहीं पता होगा यहाँ पे. Yes or no? Exactly नहीं पता होगा. Why? Because that is never a source of motivation when we are willing to join civil services. It doesn't matter. है ना? लेकिन अगर किसी को आपका पता चला कोई तो अच्छी है, उसका प्लेसमेंट हुआ है कॉलेज में, सबसे पहला चीज क्या पूछता है? कितना सैलरी मिलेगा, है ना? वो तो कुछ बोलेगा अराउंड 10 lakhs. नहीं, कितना अराउंड 10 मतलब क्या? 9.8, 10.2 कितना, राइट? वी नो एवरीथिंग. नॉट अबाउट सिविल सर्वेंट्स. व्हाई? बिकॉज दैट इज नॉट द मोटिवेशन. What is the motivation of becoming a civil servant? Apart from all that social service and all, social service many people do, not just civil services, not just civil servants, right? What is your motivation of becoming a civil servant? कोई बात नहीं, yes no में बोल दीजिएगा, है ना? Is it that we are looking for that sense of achievement, that sense of fulfillment, that recognition? Yes or no? Right? And see, the recognition will come only when you do good work. If you do bad work, the society will call for null and void. है ना? That when civil servants get recognition, why? Because their work will bring meaningful changes in the lives of people. And look at the kind of recognition that civil servants do, that for their work, what kind of recognition they get. For example, that you get an opportunity to work in unserved or underserved area. And for example, that a district collector posted in Kurumkume, when she started with the Digi Kaksha initiative, she was rewarded by the Prime Minister, right? Prime Minister. There is so much of visibility of the work that civil servants do. There is so much of opportunity to do work. And if you do that diligently, if you do that with integrity to the best of your ability, the kind of recognition that you get is beyond imagination. The visibility of your work is so much. Why? Because you are bringing some meaningful changes to the lives of people. है ना? कोई बस्ती है, पता चला जो स्कूल है वो 2 पहाड़ छोड़कर है, बीच से नदी जाता है, आपने उस बस्ती में एक स्कूल खुलवा दिया, है ना? पीपल विल रिमेंबर यू टिल द टाइम यू रिटायर. गांव बस्ती में सुना है कभी कोई, है ना, एल्डरली पीपल विल से 1990 में यहां पर एक ऑफिसर आया था, सुना है ऐसा कहानी कभी? वो तो ये प्राइमरी हेल्थ सेंटर खुलवा के गया था, बहुत अच्छा आदमी था. Why? That is the kind of impact which civil servants make on lives of people, right? And that is our motivation. When I say, I mean, that is your motivation, that you want others to remember you in a similar manner. Yes or no? And if I have to sum up, and all the time I sum up with this, one of my favorite songs. There is a song called Remember the Name. Suna, Remember the Name by, don't remember. Remember the Name by Fort Minor. लिरिक्स याद है उसका? नहीं. There is a song, Remember the Name, which in my opinion sums up the journey of civil services preparation. Fort Minor उसको बोलता है that it's 10% luck. I mean, forget the percentage, but I do feel that at times there is certain elements of luck. है ना? That some people they prepare very hard, still because of the tough competition or maybe one odd day that at times they miss by a whisker. थोड़े से miss कर गया. Some people, you know, that probably they made it to the best of the rank because in that moment they were able to give a very good answer to the interview board, right? 20 marks extra आ गया, पता चला अच्छा rank आ गया. So 10% luck, he says that it's 10% luck, 20% skill. Skill is important, but then 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will. Will power. Will power है जो, है ना, many a times आपको लगेगा, है ना, वो पारीजीराम नहीं हो पाएगा, है ना, that उपाय दोमा वाला केस, that नहीं हो पाएगा, but from there your will power will take you, है ना, that can you face that odd situation, right? Bravery is not absence of fear. Bravery is that can you remain steady despite of all the fear. There is nobody who is not afraid, everyone, right? So it's 15, he says that it's 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will. आप ट्राई कर रहे हैं, थोड़ा सा आप भी साथ देगा मेरा. 5% pleasure. That is 5% pleasure, right? कभी कभी अच्छा लगेगा, है ना, that you get to know so many things. कोई तो कुछ बोल रहा है, आपने बोल दिया अरे ऐसा नहीं होता, ये ऐसा होता है. People will recognize, at times you will score good, you will feel happy, है ना. So to sum it up in one go, that is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, it's 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. So remember, if you want people to remember your name, if that is your motive of becoming a civil servant, that let me work good and earn a name for myself, you will have to take 50% pain, right? That you will have to take 50% of pain to do that. One more thing that I would caution is that because so much of bubble has been created by people around us with regard to civil services, कि 15 hours पढ़ना पड़ता है ना, वो 4 न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ता था, and some people come out with artificial stories also. जो नहीं भी किसी को पता है वो झूठ मूठ का बोल देगा, अरे मेरा एक ऑफिस में एक आदमी है, उसका भाई का बेटा का हुआ है, वो 4 न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ता था, है ना. Some random suggestions will come, and therefore every aspirant under evaluates himself or herself throughout the journey. उसको लगता ही नहीं है कि उसका कभी हो पाएगा. Remember that do not have very high expectation from yourself to begin with, you will be disappointed. Just be invested into the process, maintain the discipline, do not allow unwanted breaks to happen. What number of hours you study is not my concern to begin with, but do you study every day or not is important. It is discipline that ensures that you know that you are still in the game. It is discipline of a 40-year-old man that even he can steal the ball from 19, 20-year-old boys. Are you getting the reference? है ना? That It is the discipline of a 40-year-old plus Ronaldo that he can be compared to the godly skilled player of in the form of Messi. I'm sure the die-hard Ronaldo fans, they also agree that Messi is far more skilled compared to Ronaldo. Yes or no? कुछ लोग पूरा गुस्सा से देख रहे थे, है ना? आई एम माई सेल्फ डाई हार्ड रोनाल्डो फैन. मैं तो चाहता था कि वर्ल्ड कप भी फ्रांस ही जीते, हार जाए मेसी, लेकिन जीत गया, अब क्या करें. But then the reason why somebody who is not as gifted as Messi when it comes to skill, but still probably has a higher craze fan following. Why? Because he has proved himself because of his discipline. What he did as a 20-year-old guy does the same thing as a 40-year-old man, right? That's important. एक last dialogue सुनाऊंगा, है ना, that there was a fitness expert. उसने बोला that I have a very sharp memory, that on suppose something 10th of August 1996, I had milk, 2 bananas and some cashews for my breakfast. And I remember this because for the past 30 years, I've had the same food every morning. That's the discipline, right? Memory kuch nahi hai uska. Because every morning he had the same food. So obviously he will remember it. That's the discipline. If you maintain, you are maximizing your chances of selection, right? To have a, because this can be a tiring journey mentally, do develop a good hobby, and keep away from any kind of a negativity. You don't have to reply to everyone, right? For example, किसी ने बोल दिया, अरे तुम सिविल सर्विसेज का तैयारी कर रहे हैं, तुमसे हो पाएगा क्या? उसको ना हाँ बोलो ना बोलो, कुछ मत बोलो उसको, right? Don't engage into meaningless conversation with anybody, right? Weak people look for approval, right? Strong people look for self validation. Weak people look for outside approval. Just make sure that you are positive between the 2 years. That's it. Anything outside the 2 years, don't care a damn about it, right? That kind of mindset that you must develop so that you will back yourself. Because at times this will be a frustrating journey. आपको लगेगा इतना मेहनत किया, कुछ और अपॉर्चुनिटी है, उसको कर लेगा क्या? But if you are really serious about your goal, if you are clear about your goal in your mind, right, you will have to back yourself. है ना? किसी और से डिस्कस करने का कोई जरूरत नहीं है, right? So this is only basic mantra that I am giving you, that remain disciplined. Don't have too much high expectation from yourself. आप तैयारी शुरू करेगा और आपको लगेगा, अरे मैं ऐसा बहुत कोई ग्रेट तो काम नहीं कर रहा हूं, which will make me that civil servant. Don't have too much high expectation. Just invest yourself into the process. Don't allow any break to happen, because if you allow breaks, then you have to start from square one. है ना? न्यूटन का फर्स्ट लॉ ऑफ मोशन क्या बोलता है? A body in rest continues to be in rest. A body in motion continues to be in motion. So if you continue to study, studying will become easy. But if you allow some rest, again starting the engine, again starting the study process will become difficult, right? Right. So, I mean, besides that, I think it's too early to comment on any other thing, right? But later, if you want to ask any other thing to me, we can do that after the, during the open interaction session. I thought that on this workshop day, whatever I speak probably will be received by you as a more of a technical suggestion, right? That I'm doing my duty as a teacher, that maybe it is my job to motivate you. Maybe it is my job to tell you certain things. It is a part of my duty to make you believe that it is doable, right? But I doubt that whatever I speak, I'm sure that you would trust me, but then you will not relate to my experiences, right? And The objective of holding an interaction session with somebody who has gone through the same journey very recently, right? And courtesy their extremely hard work and a little bit of God's grace, if you are a believer, that those who have succeeded. So I'm very, very happy as well as grateful to uh, Miss AB Riso, who has secured 19th rank in the APPSCCE examination, is joined with us today. We also have Miss Yani Puning, who has secured 14th rank in the APPSCCE examination. Okay, the objective of AB will be, taking you all through her journey for the longer period of time that she will be interacting with you. I will then request Yani as well to join later. And the objective is that when they talk about their own journey, when they talk about their own struggle, right? I'm hoping that you will find it more relatable rather than I speaking and taking you through their journey, right? Besides that, once they have, uh, you know, narrated their experience, their story, I'd also request them to take some questions from you all, right? Uh, I again, on the behalf of the institute, I extend my gratitude to the two of them, right? Uh, इससे ज़्यादा मैं formal नहीं हो पाऊंगा. Okay. I mean, I am not being deliberately humble in thanking my own students. It's just because I understand at this point of time, at a time when they are getting so much of attention and recognition, that they would want to spend it with their family after a long struggle. But in that, busy schedule, that you have taken out time, and therefore that I'm thankful and grateful to the both of you. Okay, so I would request AB to just narrate her experience, her journey. Okay, and then you can ask some questions to her.